radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah. Tonight's the night. It's Wednesday, February 13th, 2019. 44 days into the new year, just 321 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California, and I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? You guys are getting so quick on the Twitter, man. Grabbing the video feeds from, look at that, man. You guys are fast. Yeah, you like those guitar picks, don't you? Hey, you guys are quick, man. I mean, that was seconds. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. That's what you want to do, at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox in real time. That's where a conversation goes down, but other conversations go down in Spreaker in that chat room, and KGRA, the planet, that chat room. Got email popping in real time. That's right. Email in real time. Jimmy at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Imagine that. Email's going to be big. Yeah, it's going to be big. One day you're going to see email. You're going to have one. Yeah, Jimmy at JimmyChurchRadio.com. How quick email has become passé, right? I mean, we all still use it, but now it's about texting and Twitter. You know, that's how you get a hold of people. Man, did you get my Facebook message? Dude, pick up the phone. Call me. Well, I left you a message on Facebook. It's crazy how we communicate today. All right, tonight, right here on Fade to Black, Isaac Arthur returns. Tonight, we're going to discuss the Fermi paradox. Isaac did the full show with me Sunday night over on Coast to Coast, full 4 hours. And he is absolutely amazing. And I promised you a Fermi Paradox show for over a year. I've kind of danced in and out of it. I've certainly danced in and out of it for the last 4 or 5 years. But I have promised a Fermi Paradox show. Tonight, it is here. All right. All right. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do it from top to bottom. Yeah, the Fermi Paradox. Tomorrow night, open lines all night long. We do have Serena and Doug Taylor will be here tomorrow night. Serena Wright Taylor and Douglas Taylor will be with us tomorrow night. And also open lines all night long. Okay, there you go. You know what to do when it comes to social media, right? On Stellar, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. It's all easy to get to. Head over to jimmychurchradio.com. You can follow, like, and subscribe right there. And hashtag F2B is the sandbox. Hashtag F2BQ on Twitter is Fade to Black Questions. Okay? It's really that simple. And I keep everything up in front of me. I know I talk about it, but it's you guys. All right? Listen. The Twitter situation, and as well as the chat rooms and everything, but Twitter, you guys created this monster. You guys did it. I didn't do it. Rita didn't do it. Nope. You guys did it. You guys named it the sandbox. You guys came up with the hashtags. I don't know why you put the number 2 in there. It could have been FTB. That would have made things easy, but no, we got to throw a 2 in there. So, okay, but you guys did all of that. You created this. So, yeah, I'm proud, but now I've got to pay attention to it throughout the entire show. It is incredible what is happening here. And it's something where I'm so humbled by it. And now the communication, I was just talking about this a second ago, the communication where I am interacting with everybody, I don't necessarily check my email. I might do that a couple times a day unless the alert comes in. I might check, right? But not with Twitter. Facebook, I'll jump over there once a day for a minute. See if there's an emergency or any messages. I don't even have Facebook Messenger on my phone anymore. That's been turned off for a long time. So I don't even do that. Right? It is just it's a Twitter world these days. It really, really is. All right, so you know what to do with social media, okay? And now we've got some breaking news. It was announced today. That's right, Opportunity. Last night, NASA reached out one final time to Opportunity, that rover on Mars, which has been chugging along for so many years now, hoping that it would reach out and communicate, maybe phone home with some good news. I'm back. I'm okay. My windshield wipers work. Since June, it's been completely unresponsive, and it's most likely because of a planet-wide sandstorm has covered its solar panels with dust. And NASA pinged it over 1,000 times, hoping over the last 8 months to get a response. Nothing happened. And today, NASA has announced that Opportunity is officially dead. Dead. Like Momo. Dead. Sad, too. Sad. And okay, let me jump in and say something. Last night I brought up the new TV series. Well, it's not new. 2016, 2017, Mars. And we're binging it now. And it's really, really good. I don't know what episode we're on right now. 7, maybe 8, number 9, somewhere in there. And they're going through a dust storm on Mars. And I started to think about Opportunity when the word was coming out and Corby Way said he's got some news. He's about to communicate with us. We might have Corby on the show tomorrow night. He's probably listening right now. Would like to get Corby on. I know that he was over at JPL when all of this was going down. And but I started thinking last night, solar panels. We have over on our house, we have solar panels. We have solar power. And what you have to do with those solar panels is you've got to wash them, right? Like window washers, and they come out and they go up there and clean them off. Well, why wouldn't there be like windshield wipers on the solar panels? Yeah. We all know about the dust on Mars. Why isn't there something, okay, so the solar panel's here. Why isn't there something that goes and knocks the dust off? I mean, where is that technology? I don't get it. I just, you design something like that. It weighs as much as a car. It's beautiful technology, and it did work for years. But why wasn't there a wiper? And clean that stuff off. All right. I know it sounds so simple now. Hopefully in the future. And, it's the same thing with, isn't there like with the ISS or all of the satellites that are up there now. If you're up there for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 years at a crack, aren't you accumulating dust? Right? You would think so. So are they cleaning it? Or do they go out? Do the astronauts go out? I'm not making fun here. I'm not being cavalier. Do they go out and wipe the solar panels down? That's funny, Kevin. Thank you for that. Yeah. I'm serious. It just bums me out. Opportunity was really, really cool. Come join us next week for the 2019 Conscious Life Expo right here in Los Angeles at the LAX Hilton. Gotten a lot of text and tweets and email over the last week. Excited to come and hang out and meet you and stuff. And it's weird how it's ramping up right now. But next week, today's the 13th, next week, unbelievable. February 22nd through the 25th at the LAX Hilton. And just head over to consciouslifeexpo.com and get a full conference schedule right there with the correct times, by the way. And Friday night, I'll be hosting the Ancient Aliens panel with Eric Von Daniken, celebrating the 50th anniversary of Chariots of the Gods. You've got to get tickets for that panel in advance. That's Friday night at 7 p.m. Coming up after that is Contact in the Desert. That is May 31st through June 3rd in Indian Wells, Palm Springs, California. Tickets and info over at contactinthedesert.com. And when you go over and get your tickets there, don't forget on Saturday night, I'll be hosting the awards dinner. So you want to get your tickets for that at contactinthedesert.com. And then 2019 Soul Tech Conference is happening over the July 4th weekend at the Sunrise Ranch in Loveland, Colorado. Sign up for tickets and info right now at soultechgathering.com. All right. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. It is just $2 per month. Go to jimmychurchradio.com. Click on that podcast banner. Also, and I made this announcement last night. I did it last week. Send us your pictures of you and your Fade to Black gear. Okay? Hats, T-shirts, because we're going to be building up a Fade or Not gallery over at jimmychurchradio.com with all of you. We have hundreds, literally hundreds of pictures. I want them all. We send out stuff every single day. So post them up in Twitter, send them to me via email. Take care of it. I want all of you in the Fade or Not gallery. You can go and get your Fade or Not gear over in our membership section on the site. You can also order T-shirts there at jimmychurchradio.com in the store. Okay? All right. Where are we? Happy birthday to today, Peter Gabriel. Peter Gabriel today is 69. Henry Rollins, the guy with the neck, right? Henry Rollins, today, Black Flag, today is 58. Robbie UFO Williams today is only 45. Stockard Channing, one of my favorite actresses. Every year I say happy birthday to her. Today she is 75. And also Peter Tork, bass player for the Monkees. Peter Tork today is 77. Okay. All right. Let me hit this coffee. River Moon. Fade to Black blend. F2B blend. Go to River Moon Coffee. Fade to Black blend. F2B blend. 15% off of your order. That's your promo code. You've got to get some of this coffee. It is the best. I cannot make it through a show. I can't make it through a day. I can't. You know how I get out of bed in the morning? Rita. That's how I get out of bed, because I smell the coffee from downstairs. I'm like, what? You know, and once you get that whiff, you can't go back to sleep. You can't do it. Something triggers in your body. It's like, man, got that Fade to Black blend coffee. That's exactly what happens. And you need to go through that. You need to go through the addiction that I have. All right. NASA is a good storyteller. Yes. Thank you so much for that, Dan. On this day in history, OTD 1633. On this day, Galileo arrives in Rome to face charges of heresy for advocating the Copernican theory, which said that the Earth revolves around the sun. Ended up going to jail, house arrest, for the rest of his life. Yeah, he had to plead guilty to lesser charges. They actually had that kind of thing back in 1633. Thank you, Eric. Look at that. See, that's what I'm talking about. Eric Stitt in his full fader gear is going to get a retweet. He wants to be the top person in the Fader Nod gallery. And you know what? You keep whipping out pictures like that. Look at, you know what? He looks good. I like the way the autograph shows up on the hat too, Eric. That's really cool. But that's not what I see here. I see, is that a coffee? Is that a French press in the background? That's what I see. I see the French press on the countertop and the amazing artwork right there. Is that, oh, I'm not even going to say it on the air. I think that's my poster behind Eric. Look at that. Okay. All right. Where am I at? Galileo, 1633. Where am I at? 1633, Galileo. Fader fact. Elvis Presley's manager, Colonel Tom Parker, sold I Hate Elvis buttons and badges as a way to make money off of people at concerts who weren't buying Elvis merchandise. That's a true story. I had heard those rumors when I was a kid, you know, that you could buy I Hate Elvis buttons because they wanted to make money. And, you know, I heard, you know, but it turns out, yes, it was indeed true. All right. Tonight, right here, very special guest, Isaac Arthur. We're going to be talking about the Fermi paradox. We're going to break it all down. Tomorrow night's open lines, and we do have Serena Wright-Taylor and Douglas Taylor here to join us and have a little conversation to warm up the show for all of you tomorrow night. But first, I wanted to discuss the Fermi paradox. Tonight, Isaac Arthur is here, and we're going to be spending all of our time discussing the question, right? Where is everybody? Where is E.T.? And its possible answers. So that's the question, the Fermi paradox, and its possible answers. And there are many. There's a lot of answers. So that we don't have to take away from the show tonight, here's a little historical perspective on the paradox and how it evolved. Because back in 1950, while working at the Los Alamos National Laboratory, Fermi had a casual conversation while walking to lunch with Emil Konopinski, Edward Teller, right, the physicist, and Herbert York. The men discussed a recent spate of UFO reports and an Alan Dunn cartoon that was blaming the disappearance of municipal trash cans on aliens. All right, so that's what was going down. The conversation shifted to other subjects until during lunch, Fermi suddenly exclaimed, "Where are they?" Right? Where is everybody? And Edward Teller says he remembers that, and I'm quoting, the result of his question was a general laughter because of the strange fact that in spite of Fermi's question coming out from the clear blue, everybody around the table seemed to understand at once that he was talking about extraterrestrial life, end quote. Herbert York recalls that Fermi followed up on his comment with a series of calculations on the probability of Earth-like planets, the probability of life, the likely rise in duration of high technology, etc., and concluded that we ought to have been visited long ago and many times over. Okay? Now, although Fermi's name is most commonly associated with the paradox, he was not the first to ask the question. An earlier mention was made by Konstantin Tsiolkovsky. All right? in an unpublished manuscript from 1933. He noted people deny the presence of intelligent beings on planets of the universe because of, one, if such beings exist, they would have visited Earth, and two, if such civilizations existed, they would have been giving us some sign of their existence, end quote. This was not a paradox, for others who took this to imply that the absence of ETs, but more that it was for him, since he himself was a strong believer in extraterrestrial life and the possibility of space travel. Therefore, and that was in 1933, therefore, he proposed what is now known as the zoo hypothesis and speculated that mankind is not yet ready for higher beings to contact us. Right? He himself may have not been the first to discover the paradox, and suggested by his above-mentioned reference to others' reasons for denying the existence of extraterrestrial civilizations. Now, moving on, Michael H. Hart published in 1975 a detailed examination of the paradox, which seems to have become a theoretical reference point for much of the research into what is now sometimes known as the Fermi-Hart paradox. Well, Fermi laid it out in 1950. Hart revisited it in depth in 1975. And today, in 2019, we know magnitudes more than we did in 1995, let alone back in 75 or 1950. My view of the paradox is not as much as where are they, as much as why are they, ET, holding back? Why are they holding back? Or are they? See, I think that many, many, many different civilizations are visiting us every single day. Not just one, a lot. You can go out on any given night and see at least one strange thing in the sky. Not a satellite or something that's explainable. I mean, at least one strange thing that you can explain. But where is the gigantic mothership? Not something that arrives here on Earth and flies over New York City and parks itself. I'm just talking about like a crazy flyby. Something that's the size of our moon. Look, you can go anywhere on this planet, look up and see the moon, right? There it is for everybody to see. So what about that? Something that ginormous, something that we could clearly see, all the nations of the earth, and see where it's at, and just look and go, that's ET. Just something, just, a flyby. Just a flyby, not entering the atmosphere, not landing, not this, not that. Take me to your leader. I'm just talking about just a cruise, and hang out there for a little bit. Where is that? That's the part of the paradox that baffles me. And maybe, just maybe that although we see our planet as unique, maybe there are billions just like ours, just like Earth, maybe even better, maybe bigger, maybe nicer, that are worth ET's time. Yeah, right? But maybe when it comes to Earth, ET is like, meh, Earth is okay, but let's go to planet Vegas, baby. Maybe it's like that. Think about it. That maybe we're just not that unique. Maybe we're just like, eh. So, okay. Let's say that I'm right. Let's say that many ETs, know we are here. And they visit all the time, but they just kind of leave us alone. They're not that interested. The bigger paradox, the church paradox, is who on this planet knows the truth and why are they not telling us? Because that's a paradox. And that's the bigger question. I know. Any skeptic, anybody, because I was one, I know that I can take out on any given night, take out my night vision, just go out and look to the stars, look to them, and see something. I know that we are being visited every single day. And what I have always suggested very strongly is that we are doing the same thing. We're trying to figure it out. We're out there looking to the stars. We've been wondering since day one, are we alone in the universe? That's what we do. ET's got to be doing the same thing. All right? And traveling these vast distances, forget about the universe, just inside of our Milky Way takes time. Take 1 million years to cross the Milky Way. 1 million years. 1 million. And everything gets investigated in between. So you would do that. You know what you would do that with? With what we are seeing in the skies. Probes, things, cruising, collecting data, splitting. Not by one civilization, by thousands. Because if I can go anywhere on any given night and pick a spot on this planet, pick a spot in my state, just go out and look and see something, that means, right over my head, that means it's going on all over the planet. You can go anywhere. So we're being visited by thousands of civilizations. Not just one. They all communicate. I'm going to talk to Isaac about this tonight. You know, an advanced civilization out there that is out crossing the universe, that they are in communication with other civilizations. Hey, man, what have you found? We found something over here. Really? Check this out. We found some stuff over here. Really? All right. I'm going to go visit where you just were. You go just visit where I am. Here's the coordinates, and I'll see you later. We'll talk next week. All right, Ralph. All right, Bob. And away they go. They're all communicating with each other. They have to. It's the only way to map this thing and to log all of the information that we have, not only with the stars, but with the multiple planets that are with each star. We're talking about 100 billion. We're talking about, if you really stop and think about this, maybe 500 billion stars or planets. That's what we're dealing with today. It's absolutely incredible. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight is Isaac Arthur. We're discussing the Fermi paradox, and we are going to go top to bottom. All right? Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You know how to follow Isaac Arthur. He's right there on Twitter right now, and I'll be right back with our guest. Stay with us.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBlend for 15% off of your order today. Gobekli Tepe. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hey folks, guess what the number one phrase that Life Change Tea receives by email? You ready? We love this tea. We love this tea. Time after time, week after week, we love this tea. Life Change Tea gives you more energy, a beautiful cleansing, and fulfills its slogan perfectly. The tea that makes you go. So if you want to be on your health game, log on to getthetea.com and order Life Change Super Strength Tea. Packages come in a 1-month supply, and when you brew this stuff, wait until you see the results. Aren't we all about the results? And with a lot of people's health struggling, we can use a little bit of help. Doctors will tell you disease starts in the gut. So log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Be our next email saying, I love this tea. I love this tea. Get the tea at getthetea.com. Helping America one tea bag at a time.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Do you want to lose weight but have no idea where to begin? The Fast Start Diet, a 3-day weight loss plan, is the answer. 3 days of nutritionally balanced, calorie-restricted meals delivered right to your door. No shopping, no measuring, and no cooking. Everything is prepared for you and ready to eat at home or on the go. The Fast Start Diet has all the amazing benefits of intermittent fasting without starving. We've helped thousands of people who have struggled to reach their weight loss goals. Isn't it time we helped you? With the Fast Start Diet, you'll lose weight and feel great.
Find Fast Start Diet on Amazon or go to faststartdiet.com and use promo code TALK to get 10% off your first box. And as a special bonus, Fast Start will include their #1 rated Lipo3 appetite suppressant spray free with your order. This is Jimmy Church. And whatever your diet plans are, do what I did. Go to faststartdiet.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. That's what you want to do, at JChurchRadio. You can follow Isaac at Isaac. I think it's Isaac A. Arthur with an underscore. But we've got all the links up for Isaac right there in Twitter. So go and follow Isaac. He's the host of Science and Futurism. Well, it's Science and Futurism with Isaac Arthur. And that's on YouTube. He's got over 300,000 subscribers. He's got over 200, I think it's over 200. I'll ask Isaac. 200 episodes covering topics like the colonization of the solar system, interstellar travel, the Fermi paradox, artificial intelligence, and everything else that kind of challenges humanity. He received his degree in physics from Kent State University, graduating top of his class at the age of 20, remained there for graduate studies before joining the U.S. Army, served in Iraq. He also worked as a civilian researcher at the Air Force Institute of Technology in Dayton, Ohio. And I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, coming off of a back-to-back 4-hour appearance Sunday night on Coast to Coast AM, Isaac Arthur. Isaac, you're a rock star these days, my friend.
Thank you, Jimmy. Glad to be back on again. It seems like been so long since we last talked.
I'm going to have to start going through your agent soon to get a hold of you. But, the thing is, with the sharing of your information and how you do it, I want to thank you for that because it is so digestible. I keep using that word with you, but it's important because it can get very technical. And for most people, if they don't get it, they just tune out. But I don't do that with you. So I want to thank you. Where did you
Where did you come up with the concepts to get science to the masses like this, so we could all figure something out?
Well, it's the funniest way it got started was I was just kind of doing it as a hobby, talking to a bunch of authors and artists who were working on science fiction. I was complaining about how it seemed kind of stagnant. They weren't really doing a lot of new ideas. So I've been throwing some ideas out there, and I just one day compiled an episode of various concepts to look at and what the science behind them was, and somehow that mutated into a channel. So 4 years later, here we are.
Now, I didn't ask you this the other night. I'm going to do it now. I'm going to go right there. The Air Force Institute of Technology in Dayton, Ohio. Okay.
Oh, yes.
All right. Are you a man in black?
We are in a completely windowless bunkover place on that place where I was researching at, and but I hate to say we really had nothing interesting going on. I mean, I thought it was interesting, but everyone would wonder, why has this building got no windows in it? And I said, because we used to store film here, and now we do laser experiments. But I hate to say it was fairly boring, and I was just an intern helping out. I was 19 at the time, so
wait a minute.
No major secrets.
Did you accept that explanation for a windowless building? Come on, Arthur.
Well, I kind of had to because I got to see everything that was going on inside the place, and we did actually have some old film lying around for World War II. That old film for that age, that stuff was flammable.
Now, that was, totally. Still is, by the way, completely flammable. But Isaac, was this on base? Was this at Wright Pat?
Oh, yeah. It was a 145, building 140. It was right by the main facility. There's a larger building for the main campus of the Air Force Institute, but there's some satellite facilities, and we are just up the road from the museum, which was, if you've never been to the museum,
I have.
Gorgeous.
Yes, yeah. I have. I've been there many times. One of the great, well, certainly for planes, for aircraft, but one of the great museums, period, in this country is right there at Dayton. Now, okay, but I've talked to a lot of people that have worked at the base. And they all say that the running joke around the base is, have you seen E.T., right? Have you seen the bodies? And they joke about it. Did you hear references to aliens at Wright Pat?
Oh, yeah, it was a fairly common joke at that time because I think I have to double check my memory on this one, but I believe they had said they'd moved a bunch of the stuff over from Area 51 to there at that time, and there was one of the buildings everyone had flagged as location. And if there was anything going on there, I know nothing about it, but it was quite the joke at the time, and there was obviously a lot of secret research going on there, but I wasn't too involved in anything interesting in that regard.
Okay. But I'm sure that you accept this statement: where there is smoke, there's fire.
Usually speaking, and I mean, there was a lot of secret research going on there, but I wasn't involved with it, so I just can't do more than speculate. So,
are you squirming in your seat right now? Are you uncomfortable?
Just a little. No, it's a fairly common question in that regard. But,
it would have to be, man. You worked at the Air Force Institute of Technology at Wright Pat, where they have all the alien secrets. You write about this. You make videos about these subjects. So I've got to, for my audience, I have to do the right thing and just wonder if there is a connection here. It is.
I would tease sometimes because after people come by, this was before 9/11. This was in 2000, so there was a lot more openness to the base, and people would come by asking questions. Wondering what was inside. The building kind of stood out, and you couldn't not tease people a little bit because obviously I had quite the non-American sounding voice at the time. So I was wondering, what are you doing there? What are you not in uniform? Because I was a civilian and don't sound like you're from this area.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, I would say if you haven't been to that museum, it's amazing and bypass. And I'm ex-Army, so I always was at the Air Force's really nice bases, but it's just a gorgeous campus there, and everybody I worked with was wonderful.
Yeah,
a lot of those guys, they were spare time, they were fighter pilots, scientists, and trying out for NASA. So
it's a ginormous base. Most people, it's in Ohio, it's in Dayton. It doesn't make Cincinnati, Dayton, most people wouldn't think about the Air Force having a base there. They do, and not only is it there, but it is huge. That is a big, big piece of property.
Well, of course, all of us in Ohio are always a little bit smug about our role in the aerospace timelines. Wright Patterson obviously being a reference to the Wright brothers, and we're home for John Glenn, Neil Armstrong, folks like that. So we've always been very happy to host the very large Air Force base there for both patriotic and economic reasons.
Now, what about? Okay, last question about Wright Pat. Did you ever see Hangar 18?
I think I remember hearing about it, but I don't recall if I've ever seen it or not. So,
oh man, you're playing the politician. I do not recall.
It was 20 years ago.
Oh man, I mean, that's the first thing. If I'm working there, I'm going, okay, where are the bodies? Where's Hangar 18?
Was up the time. I mean, that was very brand new. It was the late 90s, early 2000s was just when folks were starting to think that had been where stuff had been moved to. So, you were just catching the edge of that. So,
yeah, very interesting that they were making references to Area 51 about that too. As well, whether it's joking or not, right? We moved it all over to Nevada. Well, it's for us conspiracy guys, that's so simple. See, that's what I'm on about. Right there, they're cracking jokes, but they're trying to run the smoke screen on us, man. It's not really a joke, and they're trying to deflect. That's what we do. It's the nature of the business in this community.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and sure, if there was anything going on there, and I'm not going to say there is or wasn't, I just don't know, because they wouldn't be telling me things like that anyway. And of course, if I did know, I wouldn't say anything.
After the show tonight, they're going to call you up and go, "Good job, man. That was good deflecting," and you're going to go, "Yeah, did I do good?"
All according to plan.
All according to plan. All right, let's get started here. We've got a lot to discuss tonight. It is going to be a very thick show with information, and I want to start off here with the Fermi paradox. Okay, all right, and then we're going to take off. But this is the Fermi paradox: that there are 500 billion stars in our Milky Way, with over 500 billion planets, billions of which are Earth-like and possibly have intelligent life. And there could be 1 trillion galaxies in our universe. So, where is everybody? That's the Fermi paradox, the church version. That's my update, my 2019 update to the Fermi paradox. And now we have the question, which is laid out there. And we have 20 official answers that we are going, the ones that have been explored the most, that you do too as well, Isaac. And we're going to explore each one of these answers. I'm going to give you the answer, and then you are going to expand on it. All right, are you ready to go?
Good. Let's go.
Man, this is so in your wheelhouse. You're like, man, this is going to be the easiest show I've ever done. This is how you ace your SATs right here. You've got a cheat sheet. But let's break this down. Where is everybody? Well, okay, let's go to answer number 1, which you explore really, really well, and it's the best foundation to start, which is that extraterrestrial life is rare or non-existent.
I would say the usual approach on this is to say, based on the Hawke conjecture, which is kind of where the Fermi paradox got started, if you've got life, and if you can get out there and settle the stars and galaxies, it should be virtually impossible not to find aliens, because they should be everywhere. Not just that you should have a bunch of planets with them, but they should have a Starbucks on the moon by now. And so if things do get out there and expand, which is what biologically evolved life should generally tend to do, if it's possible to travel out to the stars, it should be impossible to miss them. And this is the basic notion, is we don't see that anywhere, and it only takes one, the first one on the scene. If humanity hadn't evolved first, something should come along after us and have done the same job. One way or another, the space fills up. And that's basically the reason behind the idea that we would say life is very rare, or at least intelligent life is very rare in the universe, because we don't see that. And almost every solution after that has to base itself on either A, why we don't see them, B, why we can't see them, or they don't expand outward, or C, that we do see them all the time, of course, and we just can't convince ourselves they're true.
And where I have problems with this answer is if you look at Earth, we can't stop life here. right? You can't stop it. It continue. You burn down a forest down to carbon, down to charcoal, littering the ground.
We literally have types of trees that manage to pollinate themselves by being toasted.
That's
days.
what it's just survival. You cannot stop life here. You can do whatever you want. You could choke out ozone, everything else, and a couple of years later, ozone's back, life is back. Choke the oxygen out of the oceans. Give a dead pond, a stagnant whatever, one season, and then you're fishing there a year later. You can't stop life on this planet. Why would it be any different? Forget about intelligent life, sentient life, but just microbial life. You would think that it is absolutely everywhere on anything that is resembling a rocky planet.
Well, that's the basis of the core real Earth hypothesis that just says life is probably real, because there is one thing life does better than anything else. It is a machine that, once it's in place, focuses all of its effort for millions of years on learning to be better at surviving.
Right.
It is the survival machine. That is literally the definition of life. So any place it pops up, unless there's something truly horrible happens to that world, it gets smacked by another one or something like that, it should still be there. And every year it should be getting better and better at surviving. So
I know.
The idea has to be that either intelligence doesn't evolve from that very much, which has some reason behind it, or that it just almost never gets started in the first place. And that is very hard for a lot of us to swallow, because it just doesn't seem like that should be the way it is.
Yeah, life, it is so strange. The one thing, let me tell you, when I say you can't stop life, okay, one of the most horrific thoughts you can have is cannibalism, right? That's the one thing. If somebody says, "Oh man, this pork tastes pretty good," that's not pork, man. That's monkey. You're gonna throw up. Your brain triggers, right? Your brain triggers. It's like but if you're hungry, you're gonna eat your own arm, right? You will do whatever it takes to survive. Life is something you cannot stop on this planet. So to have this as answer number one, which is the first go-to, right? Mm-hmm. Extraterrestrial life is either rare or non-existent. I can almost scratch that one off the list.
A lot of us, that's the biggest source of the problem with this. When we say with the Fermi paradox, almost all the reasoning is based off the assumption that it must be really common for life to pop up. We don't know how common, maybe once every few thousand planets, maybe every solar system, and more than once, right?
Right.
But most people just tend to feel abiogenesis, that first life spark, must happen pretty often. Problem is, we don't actually have any data to back that up. It's just we all kind of feel like that should be true. And almost every other Fermi paradox hypothesis is kind of based off that assumption.
Now let's go to answer number two, okay? Question is, so where is everybody? Where is ET? And the answer, no other intelligent species have arisen. Now, I need you to respond to that as directly as you can.
Mm-hmm. Now, there does have to be a second caveat on that. When we say no other intelligent species has arisen, we always want to say that modification on that is no other technological civilization has arisen and not died off. Because it could be that the entire galaxy is covered in cavemen. We spent 1 million years going from fire before we actually got around doing pottery or metalwork, and then we rolled to space fairly soon thereafter.
Right.
1% of the time it took us to go from fire to metalworking and pottery, right, is how long it's taken us to go from those to the moon.
Right.
So it could be that the galaxy is covered in places where they just didn't get much into technology. And we have historical precedent of that happening, too. I do not like that answer, but there's no evidence to counter-indicate it either. So many of these Fermi paradox things, they all have something not right with them. So,
well, and I'll give you, okay, now here's my example, one that you've touched on, too, over the last couple of years. It's a very simple one. It was announced last summer, that octopi, are an alien species, right? That they are unique onto this planet. They're sentient. They're intelligent. They have everything that we have. They're probably smarter than us, but they're not like anything else on this planet. Therefore, they must have been brought here from somewhere else. And now the reason why I bring that up is, and look at like Europa, for instance, or one of Jupiter's moons, where there could be life there, maybe even intelligent life, but it's underwater. Well, if you're underwater, what do you lack? Fire, right?
Fire, and you can come up with some really strange scenarios. We did a whole episode on that with my friend John on uplifting. How you might have to go and help these species out, because you might come across a technological civilization that lives under the water. They can use tools, but you really can't do chemistry or fire or metallurgy there. And if it took us 1 million years using fire regularly to come up with the idea of making pots and knives, how long does it take you to do that when you can't start a fire? So we can't rule out that you might get into space one day if you are living in an ocean. But if you are living in a subsurface ocean too, you don't have any place to go up to Europa. There was no air up there to burn a fire if you actually do go up to the surface. There's just radiation all over the place. You're not going to be able to look up at the night sky because it's a big empty ice ball above you. And so places like that, they could have intelligent life on them for millions or billions of years. It just sticks that way. But the one thing they just do have going against them is there's not much energy flow. And the big thing you need for a really complex and diverse ecology is a lot of energy flow. And most of those places will not have it. So they might have life, but it might be kept fairly simple too.
Could you imagine, being smart like an octopus, but being underwater? So that means no bongs, right? No cigarettes, no hot food, right?
The only thing they've got is chemical thermal vents, but maybe they'll figure out some way to use those.
You could light your one-hit bong off a thermal vent. That's possible. It's possible. You're supposed to laugh at that point, Isaac. These are good jokes. These are good jokes. All right, let's go to answer number 3. Okay, so where is everybody? Where is E.T.? Answer: intelligent alien species lack advanced technology. We just touched upon this as a subgroup, but this is something that needs to be visited. And it reminds me of the movie It's Hard to Be a God. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's an incredible movie, a Russian movie, about us visiting another planet. It's humans look just like us, but they're stuck in the dark ages, and they're happy about that. They don't want to learn. They're okay about being right there.
Well, it's contemplations of that give us things like the Star Trek Prime Directive and one of the more popular categories for the Fermi paradox, the zoo hypothesis. And back to the uplifting thing for a moment, if you come across a species, you've got 3 basic ways that you could lift them up, as it were, to our level. Purely technological, which would be like you meet cavemen and they got the brains and the physiology for it. You just give them the knowledge. Physiological, which is like dolphins. They don't have opposable thumbs, so you might have to give them to them. And neurological, which might be something like, you come across some crabs and you make them smart enough that they can use technology. And then, of course, there's always that ethics thing is what do you do and where's the line? I think a lot of us would say that if you came across a species that was trapped on the subsurface ocean like Europa, it's maybe you should leave them be, but at the same hand, they're kind of stuck there. And if you know they've been stuck there for 1 million years, maybe you should just go ahead and make contact with them and give them technology. Because it would seem like such a shame to leave them trapped there forever.
What kind of technology? Do you throw them a pack of matches?
I can't do that.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. What would you suggest?
Well, I'm trying to think. We invented torches that would work underwater back in World War I think. But so there are things you can use underwater. You can create oxygen under there, obviously, because it's mostly oxygen by mass. But you have to give them. You can invent this technology there in theory. But it's much easier to invent it where you actually have fire working easily in the first place. So you'd probably introduce technologies that were designed to work underwater, which is actually quite difficult, of course, but not only to have them underwater like a submarine is, but actually to have them underwater and exposed. And obviously saltwater, for instance, does horrible things to most electronics. But it should be possible to build and manufacture stuff that would work under there that we could show them how to make and refine and do on their own.
Now, what about Arthur C. Clarke's, approach to this? Where, let's say you and I land on the planet. I always say you and I because, it's the smart guy and the dumb guy. You and I land on the planet, and we run into a species like Australopithecus. right? Or, just something that is right on the cusp of some kind of evolutionary move.
Do we drop a monolith?
Yes, yeah. Do we drop a monolith or radically change them?
I myself would favor doing so because, the alternative is to quarantine that planet off from everybody else for millions of years.
So you split? Do you split? Do you drop it off and go?
No, I'd land there and talk to them. Well, I wouldn't land there and talk to them as a human. I'd take some time to learn about them, probably mock up some androids that looked more like them and could talk to them in their own tongue, and just try to introduce themselves without playing God. But because I think that backs you into a corner ethically. But if they're smart enough to be able to contemplate abstract concepts that could lead to technology, I feel like they're probably smart enough to try to have a conversation with.
And let's suppose something else. Let's suppose that we dropped it off and allowed them no communication, no direct anything, the monolith type of idea, right? Mm-hmm. Where now they either get it or they don't. But we split and we come back in 1,000 years and see what they did with it, and then maybe help them again if they didn't quite get it. Isn't that a more logical approach, because now you're not interfering?
Only on first inspection. This is where the real problem gets in here is, in that 1,000 years, how have you kept anybody else from coming and poking around? I know when I get there, my motives are probably reasonably pure-ish. I don't know who's going to show up in the meantime, try to sell them glass beads or play God or even just try to uplift them too fast so that they blow themselves up.
And what about, what could also happen those 1,000 years is you come back and they've been enslaved.
Yeah.
Right?
Or you come back, but you can't come back because you've been defunded.
Yes. Have you seen Mars, the Ron Howard produced TV series on Nat Geo?
I've caught part of it, but I'm blowing it right now with the Andy Wheel film.
Okay, all right, yeah, fair enough. That's fair. But check out Mars, because one of the things that they deal with today's technology, Elon Musk, and they shoot it documentary style for present day. But then they go to 2033. And, getting to Mars. But they go through all of those funding, defunding issues. Mm-hmm. It's pretty realistic. No aliens, no laser cannons. There's nothing like that. It is purely a day-to-day existence of survival on Mars. But it's very, very interesting. And it makes me wonder if those writers haven't been peeping out science and futurism with Isaac Arthur, because it's all right there. Let's take a break, Isaac. Let's do it right here. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Isaac Arthur. This is the Fermi Paradox from A to Z. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Come join us for the 2019 Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles at the LAX Hilton. This year, we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of Chariots of the Gods with Eric Von Daniken, and I'll be hosting the panel with Eric, Linda Moulton Howe, Jason Martell, Billy Carson, and join George Norrie, Nassim Haramein, Robert Schock, Daniel Brinkley, Grant Cameron, Julia Mossbridge, and another 50 speakers who will be presenting at the 2019 Conscious Life Expo. Just go to ConsciousLifeExpo.com for tickets and a full conference schedule, or click on the CLE banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
Folks, This is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied, but you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with, you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
You're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Well, we are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
Reclaim your active lifestyle with Angioprim. Angioprim is the original liquid oral chelation supplement. Chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in your veins and arteries that can cause blockages. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. Find out more. Go to angioprim.com. Talk to a trained consultant by calling Angioprim toll-free 877-882-7221.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Isaac Arthur. The Fermi Paradox. You've always had questions, right? And I get that. The Fermi Paradox is complex. But we're going to do it all tonight. Hey, Isaac, are you hip to CBD?
CBD?
Yeah, CBD oil.
I'm not familiar with it.
Oh, man, it's this miracle stuff. You know, it's derived from hemp.
Oh, yes.
yeah, CBD. And it works. Last summer, I had this violent wood chipper accident, right? Chopped my head off, right? Clean off. Couple of drops, CBD, grew back. It's incredible. It's incredible. And it happened quick. Most people didn't even know it happened. Okay, we're moving on. Isaac's like, church, so check this out. And I'm sober, I'm drug free, right? I make jokes about this kind of stuff often, and just popped the bong joke. And in Twitter now, people are showing me pictures of people smoking weed underwater, right? That it can be done.
Someone is going to put that up on YouTube just to prove this.
Oh, they're doing it right now. Oh, man. Okay, here we go. Let's continue. The question is, so where is E.T.? Where is everybody? Answer. It is the nature of intelligent life to destroy itself. And then answer number 2 is the answer, the nature of intelligent life is to destroy others. Now, my take on that, I need yours, of course, but this is derived from humanity.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the core problem with that. We were saying earlier on that one of the biggest problems we all have with this, real life concept, real Earth hypothesis, is that it's virtually impossible to kill off life. And, humanity's been around for 1 million years. We haven't killed ourselves off yet. We seem to keep growing and prospering, actually. For everyone who was alive when this concept came up, Fermi himself, they had just invented the H-bomb, him and Teller. They thought it was very easy to believe that life wiped itself out. And that may indeed be the case, but we get closer and closer to being out in space every day, so we don't have all our eggs in one basket. And we still haven't blown ourselves up, and it doesn't really feel like that's too close on the horizon. For all of us who lived back in the Cold War, that we don't feel as endangered as we did then. So I that's obviously one we can't rule out by any means. But I find it hard to believe that all of them do it. Even if we assume 90% of them do, and I'm a techno-optimist, so I don't think very many of them would, but even if it was 90%, even if it was 99%, if that's, 1,000 civilizations per galaxy, that's still 10 of them that survive to go on and expand out to the galaxy.
Right. And the other part of it is, and especially with Fermi and Teller and the nuclear fear that they had, understandable. But even if we went through a gnarly nuclear exchange, there would be survivors.
Yeah, it is very hard to kill. They always talk about how tough the cockroach is, or at least when I was a kid. Nowadays, it's the tardigrade we all talk about.
Right.
I think they overestimate the cockroach and underestimate the survivability of humans. I have never figured out a way, short of sterilizing the entire surface of the planet, that you could reliably kill off all humans in a way that wouldn't have us back here.
What about something biological?
100% fatality rates would require an awful lot of engineering. We've never pulled that off before. And even then, you'd have people who heard about it spreading or just way out in the cabin in the woods somewhere, and they'd all get together afterwards and talk to each other by ham radio and, make a new civilization afterwards. Someone would be in a bunker somewhere surviving.
And some would be naturally immune.
Probably, yeah. I mean, we've never had an illness that was that effective. And I think something like that, the technology you need to make something like that is pretty close to what you need to fix it, I would think, too. And, you might have one crazy lunatic who's a genius putting that together, but you'd have millions of other scientists who had that same level of technological access working on a fix or a preventative measure. So it can't be ruled out, of course. But again, 99% of civilizations might go down that way. Personally, I think it'd be less than one, but someone's going to survive.
And what about the second half of this, which is it's the nature of intelligent life to destroy others? And certainly with us, we shoot first and ask questions later, right? And I understand this concept.
Do we? I mean, there have been this notion when we were growing up that humanity had wiped out the other species like Neanderthal, things like that. And that was a pretty common thought, was that, we wiped out the other hominid species. Now it looks more like we, bred with a lot of them. And certainly we have a long history of violence, but truth be told, most interactions between new civilizations that just bumped into each other for the first time have been fairly peaceful. You have people who will trade with other tribes who didn't even speak the same language. They would just put stuff on the river shore, and the other guys would put stuff on the river shore until everyone thought it was good, and they never said a word to each other, and they exchanged. There's certainly a history of violence with humanity. Can't hide that, can't pretend otherwise. But I think that can get exaggerated a little bit at times. We've tended to be pretty good at making friends, too.
So intelligent life would, especially much more advanced than us, wouldn't be out there smoking other planets with, pulse laser cannons.
One thing we can say with reasonable certainty about, and we can never speak with much certainty about aliens, period, but one of the things we can say with a certain amount of certainty is that to make a civilization, you need to have some social skills. You might be hyper-aggressive and psychotic to some degree, but you can't push it too far. The more advanced species on this planet, types of mammals, are social animals. They do well by working together with their pack. For humanity, the thing that allowed us to get technology was the ability to build big cities full of people. Those old Persian cities of thousands of people would be unthinkable in hunter-gatherer civilization.
Right.
Where everyone was specialized and could, spend their whole life working on one trade. That's how you get to technology. I'd have difficulty imagining anyone doing that who was openly genocidal automatically to everybody, just totally hostile.
The question is, so where is E.T.? Where is everybody? Answer, periodic extinction by natural events. Now, of course, the inclination is to think of earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes, right, asteroids, but then there's also the star, right, stars and so forth, solar engagement. How do we look at this?
Hasn't succeeded in wiping out life so far, at least not any sort of time frame that would be relevant to the human race. Like, we've been around for thousands of years of civilization, and we're just about immune to these things. It's not going to be much longer before we could just, shrug off almost any of these things. So statistically, we're not an anomaly in having survived that long. We'd have to assume that some planets probably would get natural disasters that wipe them out, but a lot would not. So again, we hit that issue of exclusivity. We cannot assume that this is going to get everybody. And indeed, to any civilization, probably beyond the next century or so, if you see a big asteroid coming towards your planet, everyone might stop working, but all you go check their stocks for commodities because it's like free gold moving towards your planet. You're not worried about that hitting you. You're waiting to go rope that thing in because it's free money.
Yeah,
it's full of resources.
It's full of diamonds. Yeah. Right. And so let's take this one step further, though. When we go 65, 70 million years ago, asteroid impacts Earth, wipes out dinosaurs, right? And wiped out just about everything on this planet, 90%, right? That's a pretty high percentage rate. Sharks survived, cockroaches survived, but it didn't take very long for everything to just repopulate with new species. And it happened nearly overnight in the big time scale.
Well, yeah, we can't even say how long it was because when we try to estimate these periods, there's such a big margin of error on both how few fossils we have from that period and just the time of dating we do on that we don't know if that stuff actually died off then. It might have been that almost all of them did, and they were pushed off the hill by something else having had a chance to rise up and displace them, and it might have taken thousands of years.
Right.
There could easily have been dinosaurs walking around this planet for several thousand years after that event, and we wouldn't be able to tell from our fossil record because we can't date them that accurately, and we just don't have very many dinosaur fossils, especially from that tiny little time period there. So, and it takes so little time for simple life to repopulate a planet. Humans and other large animals take a little bit of time because we breathe slowly. If you wiped out everything on this planet, just killed them all, nothing changed the planet itself, and left one single amoeba, the planet would be covered again with them in a couple of years.
Really?
Just one. Yeah, because they divide so fast. They divide exponentially fast.
Right.
One day.
We're not talking about DNA. We're not talking about something with a brain. We're just talking about life.
Yeah, and you get into something like a cat or a dog. If you got one family of cat or dogs left over, it would only take them a few centuries to repopulate the Earth back to their previous numbers. Humans a little bit slower if we knocked them down that far, but we can double in a generation if we need to, even more if we have to. And we quadrupled in the last century. Doesn't take too many doublings to get yourself back from 1,000 to 1 billion. Yeah, that's only 20 doublings. So if you're quadrupling each time, 5 centuries, you get back to normal.
Right. It flips me out when I look at math that way. You take a penny, you double it in 2 days, you got 2 pennies, and then you've got 4 pennies, and in 30 days you're worth $50 billion. It's just like some crazy number. But okay, let's continue. We got a lot to cover here. The question is, so where is ET? Where is everybody? The answer is inflation hypothesis and the youngness argument.
The general idea that life might just be getting started now, that all these civilizations have just popped up in the last million years or so, doesn't hold up too well to our current dating of astronomy. And now, mind you, there's always a chance our numbers are off on the dating, especially when we get to the extragalactic scale, because it's so much harder for us to get direct measurements.
Right.
But based on what we know, planets that are rocky like Earth have been getting more common as time goes on, as the metallicity of stars, how much stuff besides hydrogen and helium they have in them, has increased. But we can look back and see stars that are about as metallic as our own sun as far back as 8 or 9 billion years ago. And they were a lot less common, to be sure, but they'd have gotten started then. And then, as time goes on, they get more and more common. But we're still talking about billions of years timeline, when realistically you maybe need 1 million years to colonize a galaxy. And that's where we were just talking a moment ago about doublings and how that kind of breaks the mind.
Right.
It's so easy to look at, the universe and say, civilization's thousands of years old. The galaxy might take millions of years to colonize, and the galaxy is billions of years old, and forget just how huge a time gap that really is in comparison.
Most people don't realize, because we use, the word billion is everywhere now. Billionaires are everywhere. When we were growing up, there was one billionaire, right? Now there's, it's just like every single day, new billionaire.
Mm-hmm. And I think there was 3,000 in the U.S. alone.
Yes, it's a crazy thing. We don't understand how long it takes to go from 1 million to 1 billion. That's and then when you flip that around and you're going from 1 billion to 1 trillion, how many millions are involved with each one of those billions, and then how many billions are involved to accumulate up to 1 trillion. These are huge, vast numbers that take time to do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. There's a little under 100,000 seconds in a day. If we treat the galaxy at 10 billion years ago as when the earliest rocky planets could form, and we divide it up by 100,000, equivalent of seconds there, each of those then would be 10 billion, be 100,000 years. Hopefully I didn't just mess that up.
That's right.
Each of those little increments be 100,000 years, and 100,000 years is 1 second. That means the entire humanoid species developed fire 10 seconds ago in the galactic day.
Yes.
And it means that any species that might have arisen could easily have arisen any time in the AM period, if we're now getting close to midnight. And they would only have needed a couple of minutes to colonize the entire galaxy.
That's right. And so you could take a slice about the thickness of a business card in that time scale, right? And slice it up, and something could have come and gone.
Yeah, you would just completely have missed it. But of course, that's assuming they didn't stick around.
That's right. And it's a mind-blowing concept, and I use it a lot. I try to get as visual as I can with it, just like you just explained it. And it's because I stole it from you. Let's go to the next one. Okay. Question. So where is E.T.? Where is everybody? Answer. Intelligent civilizations are too far apart in space and time. You've spent a lot of time, no pun intended, on this subject and this answer. So let's pick this apart a little bit. How much distance are we talking about in space and time?
Well, it always comes down to how real we're saying this life is. And then this kind of argument kind of falls back to the real Earth hypothesis to begin with, because if they're popping up in almost every solar system, then you don't have this issue to begin with. But you have to assume a certain amount of reality for this argument to make sense in the first place. It's to say they don't exist, or they don't exist for very long, and they don't pop up much. And say we couldn't possibly have heard them. And the problem is that while it's very hard to hear all radio signals, even with our really good telescopes, one star system over, it is so easy for a spacefaring civilization, just inside our own solar system, to build some gigantic solar-powered radio that you could hear across the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also very easy to potentially build telescopes, because it's actually easier to build telescopes in space that are just kilometers across. Giant dishes. No gravity or wind messing up your ability to build them huge. So you've got the ability to make really loud systems and to make ones that are very sensitive. So you could hear them. The question is, can you hear them before they stop transmitting? And that goes back to that question of why did they stop transmitting? And of course, it goes to the further problem, which is this assumption that Fermi made himself, was that interstellar travel isn't possible. He had just assumed that this was 1950s, that we would never figure out a way to travel to other solar systems. So a lot of what we do on the channel, in science fiction, everyone assumes you get an FTL ship and you can do it that way, and that makes things great. You got a warp drive. On the channel, we try to focus on, assume we never get that, assuming we're limited to just the science we have right now. Could you colonize the galaxy? And all evidence is, yeah, you absolutely could. If you can get a good infrastructure into orbit around Earth, you don't need a single new technological development in terms of propulsion to build gigantic mirrors and lasers that will let you push ships up into, to relativistic speed to get to other solar systems. There's a lot of technology that would make that a lot easier and more functional, but you can do it at that point. You don't need truly advanced technology.
Right.
So how can they be that rare if you can do space travel? The argument that we can't hear them has to assume they don't last very long and they can't do space travel.
Now, what about this concept? I need you to help me understand this. With the projection of those radio telescopes and the ability to get this information out, does it have to be laser focused towards Earth, or does it permeate in a 360-degree universe worldview?
Well, there was a thought that when you're trying to send messages to another solar system, you want to condense that beam up as much as possible. Now, lasers and other things like that do not actually stay as a tight cylinder. They do spread out, same as normal omnidirectional waves do.
Eventually,
but
yes.
They do it a lot more slowly, as it were.
Right.
But an omnidirectional signal is not very efficient for broadcasting galaxy-wide. That's got two problems with it, though. The first is, if you're trying to talk to everyone, an omnidirectional signal probably is easier than trying to target a billion individual beams to locations. And you have the entire output of a sun to work with if you need it. If you're right there, it's there. You can make giant solar panels to power the thing. And that's more than loud enough. That's many orders of magnitude more energy than you need to produce a radio signal you could hear galaxy-wide on a normal radio sitting on the ground. And then the other problem about that is the one thing that you absolutely would want to always do omnidirectionally and not encrypted. We say we might not be able to hear them because they encrypt everything, or they use point-to-point transmissions like lasers.
Course. Right.
The one thing you'd always transmit omnidirectionally is the time code, the GPS, the galactic positioning system. People are going to need to know where they are located exactly, and neutron stars are not good enough to really give you an exact focus. We talk about using pulsars to do fixes. Mm-hmm. You can do that, but it won't give you the accuracy that you want. You're going to have a big, loud signal that just broadcasts over and over again. The time is 12:01 p.m. And that's whatever. And you don't care if that's going fast or not. You want it to go at relativistic normal speeds because that's what people use to figure out where they are.
Right, yeah. Right. Now let's jump right to the next answer, and the question is, of course, where is ET? Where is everybody? And the answer to this one, we're going to spend a lot of time on again, which is the lack of resources to spread physically throughout the galaxy. And before you answer, let me pop this in there. I look at our planet because when somebody hears this answer, they think, well, we have a hard time getting oil out of the ground. We have a hard time. Gold is rare. We have to manufacture steel, and we have problems with resources here for our own infrastructure. We don't have an orbiting space station. We haven't colonized the moon. It takes a lot of resources to do that. So they understand this point really quickly. But you've got a counter to this answer, which I think is amazing.
There is a ton of resources in the solar system. Earth has a very big share of the easy accessible ones, but the easiest ones to access are things like asteroids. We live at the bottom of a gravity well. That makes it hard to get that off there, as does it for a place like Mars or Jupiter, where they have tons of resources. But our biggest problem getting resources on Earth, besides things like oil, which are biological in nature, so we wouldn't find them too much in space, is that we live on top of all those resources. So to get at them, we have to dig up a lot of stuff, including valuable real estate. When you're up in space working on some asteroid a few kilometers across, you can disassemble that whole thing. And your typical metallic asteroid is going to have more iron in it than we've produced in like an entire century. It's a cubic kilometer of iron. You know, that's a lot of metal. Most of those larger or medium-range asteroids have enough metals in them, they're relatively easily accessible, to build aircraft-sized carrier starships by the billion. You only need to exhaust one of those to make
hold on.
Entire galaxy.
Hold on. Pump the brakes there, Isaac. Repeat what you just said.
Your typical asteroid, medium scale one, is going to have enough metals in it to make something the size of an aircraft carrier or a spaceship that size 1 billion times over again. Or enough to send one to every single star system in this galaxy. And there was enough resources in this solar system, easily accessible resources, to be able to build whole fleets of these for every single star system out there. And you don't have to go to those other distant star systems. You can stop your nearest neighbor and grab more resources and spread out from there. And you would only have scratched the resources in the solar system by doing that. It's a scale thing. The solar system, and the Earth for that matter, is so enormous compared to what we think of as the Earth. We only live in a tiny, tiny little like oil coating around the surface of this planet. It's a couple kilometers. The planet's thousands of kilometers wide.
So our solution is the asteroid belt.
That's the easiest ones to get at. I mean, they don't have that much. The asteroid belt in its entirety has less materials in it than the moon. It's, in fact, the difference between the moon and the Earth is about the same as the moon and the asteroid belt. Very small amount of metals there. But compared to what we normally use here on Earth, it's staggering. It's huge. You know, we talk about megatons of steel production. Forget that the Earth is 1 billion trillion tons of mass.
Right. And you don't have to, this is the other point with this, it's getting it off of the Earth. You got to get it out of the Earth first, but then you've got to get it off planet, right? You've got to get it up into Earth orbit, low Earth orbit, to start to build these ships, or to the moon.
A funny thing is, in many cases, it's going to be easier to get material back from the asteroid belt or the moon into orbit around Earth than it is to get up from Earth when it's only 100 kilometers away. So you could go 100 million kilometers away, pick up an asteroid, and bring it back to orbit around Earth easier than you might be able to bring a mountain up from Earth. And there was only about 1% of the material in the asteroid belt that the Earth has. But it's still millions of times what we normally use.
So what ET would be doing is out there with their interstellar craft would be seeking out asteroids. They wouldn't necessarily be looking for planets. That wouldn't necessarily be a first choice, would it? They would be able to find...
Plants have no value at all to a civilization unless they were interested in the biology on them. And, you know, if you want that biology or that art and culture that's there, they're great. But otherwise, a planet is just one big lumber yard that's inconveniently located far from the exit ramp. You go for the asteroids first, then you go for the moons, then you go for the planets, then you go for the sun itself. And you can get a lot of metal out of the sun if you want to.
A lumber yard. I like that. Okay. And also, there's one other point. Water, where, sure, we've got a lot of water on this planet, but there's a lot of water just floating around in space. Floating around in space. You don't have to go to a planet.
Earth is unique in the inner solar system in that it has large amounts of accessible water. That's rare in the inner solar system because hydrogen is rare in the inner solar system, but it's the most plentiful stuff in the universe. And the third most plentiful stuff in the universe is oxygen. And there are quasars out there that push out entire planets worth of water. Water is everywhere in the universe. The only place it's rare is in the inner solar system near stars where it tends to get blown away.
I need to take a break right here, Isaac. Isaac Arthur is our guest. We are discussing the Fermi paradox, and we are about halfway through, Isaac. We're doing pretty good here. We're doing pretty good. We're burning with gasoline, no pun intended. It's Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously, go Beckley Teppy. Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Are you intrigued by paranormal talk radio? You'll love the new paranormal radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the paranormal radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the paranormal radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Isaac Arthur is here. We're discussing the Fermi paradox. We're going to go top to bottom tonight. Tomorrow night is Fader night. It's open lines all night long. And Serena Wright Taylor and Douglas Taylor are going to be here to hang out, too, as well, to kick off the evening. So tomorrow night, open lines. Isaac, let's continue with the question and answer. The Fermi paradox question is, of course, with all of this action going on in our galaxy, in the Milky Way, with all these planets, all these stars, there must be something out there. So where is E.T.? Where is everybody? That's the question. The next answer is lack of resources. Oh, I'm sorry. It's cheaper to transfer information for exploration.
Well, the problem with transfer information is you need a receiver on the other end. And the other important thing is it introduces a false dichotomy. There's this notion that you might send signals and information, but you can send information, and that information can be a person. It could be an artificial intelligence. It might be that their civilization doesn't even draw a line between those things. So you might have these probes whose only job is to arrive at a location, and scan by as a scene it, and they say, oh, there's something interesting here. And so a follow-up probe stops there, and it builds a big receiver, and you transmit in your science team. Or they're just stored there as a digital archive on board that ship to begin with.
Right. But they've been doing that. I think they do that every day.
If they do, that's one of those things. Where is the receiver at? We want to be looking for that, and it would be hard to find. If they're actually a big receiver on like the dark side of the moon, for instance, we'd probably have picked that up by now. But there's a lot of places that you could hide from us in the solar system if you're doing something like that, and of course that implies they're monitoring. So that one's not really a good solution, not because it's not viable, but because it more or less falls in the categories of the other ones. That's just the way they'd be doing it. We say they're post-biological. They send people digitally, or they basically teleport them.
Right. But they know that at Right Pat. I guarantee it. See, this is what, and you and I have talked about this, and let's be very clear here. That forget about the gray goo, just self-replicating, let's just put all of that aside. But jumping from planet to planet and from solar system to solar system with probes out there exploring where you're not wasting biological life or building, generational ships and so forth. That is the way to get it done. That's what we are attempting to do right now. Right? We're doing that in our own solar system right now. Opportunity died today, right? But
unmanned probes. Right. People will say, oh, that's got to be a solution when those unmanned probes. This has one fatal flaw to it. It does work as a system. The problem is that it's not actually as advantageous as most people think. It does have an edge, but it's actually a fairly minimal edge. So it's one of those things where if you want to do it, either way, you go with the one you prefer to use. Right now, we have a big problem keeping people alive in space. We're not going to be launching colony missions until we've got that licked in the first place.
Right.
But if you try to send a probe out, the only real advantage, because it still has to stop at the other end, is that it can accelerate and decelerate faster. But you really don't spend that much time accelerating or decelerating on interstellar trips because you get up to speed and, even for a biological life form, we're only doing 1 G of acceleration. You're up to near light speed after just 1 year of acceleration, and that's how it takes you to slow down too. Mm-hmm. And you still have to slow down the other side. These space probes don't get to magically, go into orbit around the planet. They have to slow down, and they have to slow down to even do a decent flyby because it takes time with anything like that to actually get a good photograph. They need exposure time. If it flies through some solar system at nearly the speed of light, it's only got a few hours to survey that place, and it's got to have Hubble level stuff just to get a decent picture. Not a good picture either, just be able to get like one there you can tell that Mars has continents on it.
Sure, and
they're going to want to stop.
I totally get that. I totally get that, but I cannot escape from, and I will not back off of this thought that there has to be. It's not like there might be. There has to be literally tens of thousands of intelligent civilizations out here that are building self-replicating probes that are out scanning the universe, mapping it, and just checking out to see what is cool. That is it. I won't accept anything else. And
I would take as a given that that's the first step. That's what I would do. I'd send out a series of self-replicating probes with very limited intelligence, dumber than doorknobs. Right? So they might be a threat. If you don't want to send out really advanced probes, they might decide to come home. But then the follow-up on that is you've got these probes that can build more themselves around other star systems. If you've got that, it's even easier to tell those probes to go pinpoint that asteroid in your own solar system and say, make me a gigantic spaceship I can put people on board.
Sure.
It's the same technology.
Yes, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. There's no question about it. And that's why when I go out and I'm seeing the things that I'm seeing, and others are seeing too as well. This is not, I'm not the only person in the world that's out there with night vision goggles and wondering what the heck is flying up there in the dark. I see it myself, and I just have to, most of it is hours. Okay, I get that part of it, But it's the one or two or three or four things that you see in a night that you cannot explain. And I just naturally think that's
astronomy. Yeah, I mean, we always come across things we can't explain. Sometimes we explain them with natural solutions. We got a lot of things we've been sitting on for a good century that we haven't gotten entirely good solutions to yet, and we got plenty we have solved. We never say that these things cannot, or at least we should not be saying that these things cannot be intelligent. We always want to go off the checklist, though, and try to rule out all the natural ones because they teach us science. And, that's how we're going to learn these things. But any number of these things, if someone tells me, I don't know what that is in the sky, what's the answer anybody gives that's a good answer is, well, let's find out.
I know.
You don't assume what it is. You find out what it is.
I can't wait until one night you're going to come out with us, right? We're going to go out and we're just going to hang out. And imagine this for a second. I'm going to give you 30 seconds and we got to get to the next question. Mm-hmm. Is this, imagine you and I standing with a group of people, let's say 20 people, and we're standing there and we're looking up at the stars, and then in front of you, taking up above you at 12 o'clock, taking up 60 degrees of the sky, right? As far apart as you can put your hands, right? Your hands 3 feet apart above you at about 5,000 feet. And then suddenly an aquamarine ball sputters, lights up, and in 2 seconds, goes from right to left, stops, goes down and zags, and then continues and does a backwards Z in the sky, sputters out, flashes its high beams, and then flies away. Just like that. Za, za, za. Now, you're gonna turn to me and go, well, that wasn't a meteor. That wasn't a satellite. That wasn't a plane. That wasn't a helicopter. That wasn't a rocket. That was, I don't know what the hell that was, Jimmy. And so when you see something like that, that's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about any kind of natural. No, it is something that you, Isaac, will have problems with. And it's a life-changing event.
Oh, I don't doubt it. And somebody sees something like that, the core thing that everyone should be thinking is, let's find out what that is. And we don't go with any preconceptions. Maybe it's artificial, maybe it's natural. We don't want to assume either one. The skeptic can get in the habit of just saying, this must be natural. And that's, in many ways, just as bad reasoning as to simply assume automatically that it must be artificial.
Absolutely.
The truth is what the truth is. You find out what that is, and you never go into these things just assuming it's got to be X, Y, or Z. And we're all guilty of doing that. It's so easy from either angle of these things to have it want to be what it is that you want to be. And the real science is never knowing what it is. It's saying, what the heck was that? That was surprising. That's what you go to find out these new things from.
Yeah, what I just described to you happened with 200 people, and we were all standing there. We all saw it, and we all screamed at the same time. And I'm not going to take that experience away from anybody. I need to continue to talk about it because I can't explain it. Arthur, I keep saying Arthur. I have a cousin, Arthur. Arthur in the front of my brain. I can't explain
names.
I can't explain it, Isaac. Okay, let's go to the next one. Here we go. All right. Question. So, where is E.T.? Where is everybody? Answer. Humans have not existed long enough.
Well, we've been around for 1 million years. That's an eye blink across the span of the galaxy. But, that is still a pretty decently long time. If we're assuming nobody pops up more often than that, or they don't spread out, this basically just falls back that same issue of, is space travel possible? Because if you can go out there and colonize the galaxy, it doesn't matter if your original home planet only lasts for 1,000 years or not. Some of those splinter colony worlds are going to have survived and come back up from nothing if they had to. So it's kind of the notion is, if you're out there exploring the galaxy and you don't find any aliens, wait, because eventually you will. They might be from your planet originally, but they're going to be left behind. Whenever you have a colony situation, and we have this with if Earth might have been one of their colonies, I'd say, well, if it was, they either had to bioform us, an example where they take the existing things and just kind of change it to be more like themselves.
Right.
Or they had to do it 4 billion years ago. But if real example of such a colony, what about all the others? I mean, we probably weren't the only one. They probably did that thousands or millions of times.
Right.
Are we just the first ones to build ourselves back up from some catastrophe? And then that just kind of kicks the ball back because we'd be saying, oh, well, they're the first ones. What about all the other civilizations? Weren't there others that evolved too? Or, they did it and we did it. And if we did it from them, where are all the other colonies they made? And where are all the other civilizations that started on their own? So that's kind of the issue with the sort of short time exposure. Once you get life in place that can actually go out there and colonize the galaxy, assuming that's possible, what's making it go away?
Next answer, of course, to the question, so where is everybody? Where is ET? Well, we just aren't listening properly.
Oh, it's entirely possible. We don't know. We've been playing the science game for, at best, 400 years. We could be kind and give it another couple thousand. And in that time, we have discovered stuff that we would never imagine. And while I always try to focus on the stuff that's inside known science right now, I never pretend for a moment that I actually expect that a couple of centuries from now, we want to discover something that will just shock and blow my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I think most of our core physical laws are going to stay in place, because most of those have not really changed that much. Newton needed a little bit of adaptation, and Einstein's held up pretty solidly for the last century. But we could have something come by and just knock over the whole house of cards. And if that's the case, if we have something much, much better than radio, we're not really going to use radio very much. And so how will we listen for what they are listening to? And that's where we get into more of the Dysonian SETI things, where you're not looking for the active signals these civilizations send off, but things like their waste heat, or who hides a civilization is always the question. There are so many ways to find them, and people say, well, maybe they're hiding. And we say, why would you hide? Name me one civilization, other than the Sentinelese, that actually hides. They don't actually hide. They're just hostile to foreigners who come to their island. Most cities not only don't hide and can be detected so many different ways, the easiest way to detect them is all the billboards they put up encourage you to come visit.
That's correct.
So
That's
there might be civilizations out there that do want to hide, but what about all the other ones that don't?
And we have to look at ourselves here in that you just said it. We've been dealing with radio for 100 years, right? Mm-hmm. We're very close to not using it at all anymore, even though I'm a radio broadcaster. But we will figure out ways eventually. In 100 years, there could be zero communication going through the ether. That it will be done another way. And that would mean we would have to assume that ET went through the same processes. And the way that they communicate now has nothing to do with us today.
We see even ultimately that won't work, because we have two problems with that. First, we do have a lot of things that kick around long after their normal apparent lifespan. I remember they were predicting radio's death back when TV killed the radio star.
Sure.
That hasn't happened yet, and it's never going to happen entirely, for the same reason we still have people making vintage paper and having Renaissance fairs. And also, the secondary on that is, even assuming you don't have a bunch of civilizations that just have little villages that still like to communicate by radio, you're going to have some people in that civilization that want to talk to other people and will be broadcasting on radio anyway. For that not to work, you have to then assume they don't want to be heard. A civilization that doesn't mind being heard, but just doesn't use radio anymore, will still be visible because they're not hiding. They just don't use our method of communication. And they know a lot of civilizations will use that too, so they're broadcast on that to say hello. They have to be hiding and not use radio for that one to work.
There was an episode of the Orville, which I love. I think that is a great show. Yeah, it's a great show. And you remember the episode from a couple of weeks ago where they get on, they find a new uncharted planet. They go down. There's a life form detected and a civilization that come down, and everything is cool. But they didn't want to be found, right? And they couldn't believe, and that was their thing. Well,
sorry, I got hung up on you saying that there was an episode a couple of weeks ago. Is this season 2 come out already?
Yes.
Oh.
No, you're messing with me, Isaac. Don't even mess with me.
I often wait to see for the entire season come out, but I did not know they already had season 2. How did I miss that?
Oh, man. Okay. Well, it was just that, where civilizations, tend to isolate themselves. And that's exactly what this episode of the Orville was dealing with. A fully advanced, upright, technically advanced civilization. They got everything going on, right? But they just didn't want to be found out.
They just want to be left alone. And here's the problem with that. That's possible, but it wouldn't. There's a few problems we have with this. First is it's assuming everyone does. If you got thousands of civilizations, it doesn't matter if hundreds of them hide. The other problem, though, is hiding is not the best way to be left alone. We say, I don't want to be talk to any of these people. I'm going to hide. If you want to be left alone in your cabin in the woods, you stick up no trespassing signs. And you do this for a very simple reason. One, it keeps people from actually coming by for the most part. Most people respect that. And two, it means if they still invade and they still come by, be curious, and you shoot at them to make them go away, or you don't help them if they run out of fuel,
right?
Nobody can come by and say, you screwed our citizens over. If I got a big galactic battle fleet and I hear that you've destroyed one of our exploration ships that was there peacefully, I might come by with that fleet to have a conversation about your manners. Whereas if there was a no trespassing sign up or a signal saying, leave us alone, we don't want to talk to you, things are a lot easier. Everyone who respects that sort of thing is going to leave you be, and everyone who doesn't, you've got authorization to shoot at without most people deciding that you need to get shot yourself.
Right.
So if you want to be left alone, the best thing to do is put up a sign that says no solicitors.
Makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. And one of I want to spend to the top of the hour here on this next one, which is, okay, where is ET? Where is everybody? And the answer is they're just too alien.
And that is always one of those ones we have such a problem with because we don't know anything about how aliens behave. There was a book I guess about 30 years ago, The Killing Star by Charles Pellegrino. In that they say there's only 3 things we know about aliens for sure, and even that's in doubt. The first is that they want to survive. They might be peaceful, they might be hostile, but they want to live more than they want you to live. So if it comes down to it, they're going to protect themselves first. The second one is they're probably going to be very good at that because evolution does not produce wimps. Even if they're pacifists, they're going to be very good at being aggressive when they need to be. And the third one is they're going to know that both of those things are true about us too. That you're not going to have evolution produce anything that is, basically just wimpy in that respect.
Easy to die out.
Now, we can't be sure about something even like that. These are very few things we can say. And anything beyond that is up for grabs. But we were saying earlier that it would be hard for a super aggressive species that was just incredibly xenophobic to ever become a civilization because xenophobia doesn't start against aliens. No one's going to evolve on their planet afraid of Martians. They don't know what those are yet. That kind of xenophobia has to start early on, meaning you're probably attacking every other tribe you come into contact with, and you are going to be constantly at wars. You run into more of those, and you're going to be constantly breaking down from civil wars when those folks there don't have the right shade of red in their hair or something like that. Hard to build a civilization that way. Could happen, but probably not too often. And so we'd say you probably have fairly cooperative and diplomatic aliens out there. They might not be as much as us. They might be more than us, but they're going to know what these concepts are. Then we get into really alien stuff, though, stuff that maybe was not evolved, but was created by them. Skynet takes over the planet and extinguishes all the humans.
Yes.
Or they just came up a completely different pathway to us that we wouldn't even recognize. Let's say that they came from a parallel universe to ours that was just congruent with Earth. But it's got 4 dimensions, and the math there doesn't work right. Pi does not equal 3.14, How would they even know how to talk to us? Because we say math is the universal language in this universe.
In ours.
Right. We don't know even that for sure. There are arguments say maybe math is not universal, but even then, just here. There are presumably places where 2 + 2 = 5 if you've got the whole multiverse thing that has different physical laws. And in that case, they might have no way to even talk to us that way. We're not going to, we say, let's send them prime numbers, or let's send them the digits of pi in binary. And that would work on anyone in this galaxy, presumably, because the prime numbers and pi should be the same. But if you're sending it into the 10th dimension, they might have no clue what you're sending them, or that you're sending them anything at all. And so you might not even recognize those, but we'd otherwise say normally that intelligence recognizes intelligence. I could mistake a stone axe for something natural, something like the Giant's Causeway, where it's all these big hexagons, looks artificial. But there's a difference between seeing something natural that might be artificial or vice versa, and walking into a tool shop and not recognizing what it is. We'll joke about how aliens might think our toaster or cat was the intelligent dominant life form, and that's funny, but probably very unlikely. They'd have to be very stupid, too stupid to master space travel, not to rapidly figure out that the humans were the ones that were the intelligent species on this planet. And once they do, they should be able to see a pathway for communication. So we can only have a guess on something like that, because if it's alien enough, how do you even, interact with them? But if they are that alien, it may not even matter if they exist or not, because if you can't talk to them, they can't talk to you, you can't even detect each other, then for all practical purposes, you really don't exist as far as each other are concerned, and never would.
There is the question of us even recognizing us in 10,000 years. In that we may not even have these meat sack bodies that we have today. We could, presumably turn into light beings or energy, or even some type of android where we just transfer our brains into something completely artificial and manufactured. But that being said, we may not even be able to recognize ourselves in 10,000 years, or how to communicate, or anything that we do today. And if we go off planet and encounter something alien, it could be just as alien as we would be in 10,000 years, in that it would be an impossible way to see or recognize or communicate with.
For us, yeah. Now, there's the thing on that. An uploaded mind, an artificial intelligence of a human who was digitally uploaded on a thumb drive, teleported back to Rome. Romans don't know what a thumb drive is. They're not going to say, this is intelligent. This is just a piece of plastic, and what is plastic? But we know what that is, and we know what Rome is. We would recognize them. We can communicate with them. Anyone down the road 10,000 years from now should be able to talk to us if they want to. So again, this kind of Fermi paradox solution where they kind of evolved past us, either they just not recognizable to us, relies on the assumption that they don't want to talk to us, because they should be able to if they want to. Communication only requires one of the parties to be able to start off the Rosetta Stone. If they don't want to talk to us, we have a problem. If they do want to talk to us, we don't, because they should be able to figure out how to.
What do we do with situations like that if, for instance, with CDs today, right? DVDs, they're almost useless. They were only useful for about a decade, right?
Get those AOL discs and use them as a
coaster. I'm doing it right now.
And that's what they'd use them for if they found them in ancient Rome, too. What pretty meals these are.
Yeah, they would know what to do. And so, a million years from now, or 500,000 years from now, they're uncovering these things. There's no way to play back that music, or there's no way to retrieve the data, or even to know that that's what they are, that there is data on those discs that would have all of our history there, right?
The Romans use them as coasters because they don't know what they are. We use them as coasters because we don't care about them. They're useless to us.
Exactly.
If we needed access to them, though, we know how to access them. We can access those. And so there's the thing is, if we have, if our civilization fell apart and all we had to work with was CDs and we were knocked back to the Neolithic level, we definitely have a problem. Fortunately, we do have things like books and stuff lying around. And so there's the other aspect we said they wouldn't use radio anymore. And I mentioned how they might have Renaissance fairs that did that. A lot of civilizations might keep a lot of their history around that way for the same reason that you got a bunker that you've built, and you might want to have Wikipedia on a data stick, but you still have some hard copy reference books too. I think a lot of these civilizations would tend to keep a lot of the more classic stuff around, even if for no better reason than historical appreciation, but against that little fear that someone might come by and wipe it out, that higher technology they're dependent on. And the other thing about these guys, they might be nearly immortal, but they are the process of evolution. They want to live. And we get more and more cautious every year because we don't die that much. Most of us live to our old age. These could be fellows who could live for millions of years potentially because they've got life extension technology, for instance. Imagine a situation like that where you're not afraid of dying of natural causes and you want to keep living. Just how many measures, a prep will take some pretty extreme measures, but these guys might laugh at that as reckless. They probably go to some pretty extreme efforts to make sure they are protected against cataclysms.
Well, that's exactly right. And back to your point, when it comes to this, I often wondered when Sagan designed or showed the designs for a phonograph player for the record so they could play it back. that they would actually understand what that said. Let's take a break right here. Our guest tonight, Isaac Arthur. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal God, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out. That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-717-WAVE, 888-717-WAVE, or visit dryhealthyhome.com, dryhealthyhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Isaac Arthur. And Isaac just did 4 hours, pole to pole, start to finish with me on Sunday evening over on Coast to Coast. And Isaac, I just have to say thank you for that. But for a premiere, for a debut on Coast to Coast, to go through that, because you broadcast, you put together your stuff every single week too as well. But that was a pretty good experience out of the gate, wasn't it? Did you have a good time?
It was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, it was exhausting as I'm not used to doing the long live shows like that, but it was just great. And the audience was just giving good questions left and right, so it was a great time.
How's the feedback been from your audience?
Really good. There's actually a lot of crossover with the channel, and since I tend to be more on the skeptic side, I think some folks will kind of know us about saying they're regulars on Coast to Coast. But I've been listening to the show for years, so I was a little surprised by that.
It's got to be exciting. It's like, when you go and you are. You grow up next door to Madison Square Garden, right? And you're always attending concerts, and then one day you're playing Madison Square Garden. But that's exactly what it was like, wasn't it?
Oh, it's awesome. I think, just for the show, I grew up watching folks like Sagan and getting to do. Obviously, I have nowhere near the outreach that Sagan had, but just to be doing something a little bit like him is so amazing, and you never really, it never stops being surprised.